BT4 Anubismon King of Rush is back here, and we're going to be showing you guys some infinite attack combos gameplay. Let's get into it.
Okay, so let's get into the first game right here where matchup is actually playing against the Lucemon control deck. Funny enough, we actually played a lot of games and matches in particular already, myself, and Sam was kind of intrigued by the deck. So we're doing a little bit something different instead. We're actually going to be commentating on top of Sam because he wanted to take on and give this deck a try. And funny enough, the opponent that he's playing is actually me, myself, playing the Lucemon control, and I was giving it a try at the same time. So, you know, with Sam giving it a shot, let's quickly take a look and commentate on sort of how he plays and sort of the thought processes and sort of teaching you guys how this deck all works. Now, first and foremost, talking about the mulligan and referencing from what cards you really want to see, this is a really good opening hand. So I believe I'm going first with the Lucemon control deck and Sam's going second. And right here, right off the bat, he can easily, you know, see a full line of play to Digivolve into a level 3 and a level 4. There's Miss Memory Boost, there's Mimi right there, which is fantastic, you know, early game cards to help cycle as well at the same time. There is an Nidhoggmon, but you know, that's the only sort of like bricky-ish card to have in the beginning, which is not an issue at all in this particular situation. So we just proceed and continue, and yeah, this is definitely a good opening hand for him. So yeah, with the Lucemon control player going first, you know, hatching an egg and passing a turn, which probably is kind of rough. There's nothing too much to do, but you know, going into Sam, being able to Digivolve right here immediately, and just like, you know, evaluating the options he can get into, Digivolving to Ginkakumon Promote for here for 2 costs, and then just playing the Mimi passing back to 1 is a really good choke right there. And there's really good follow-up play, as you can see in his hand right now at the moment, where there's, you know, GreyKnightsmon, there's also Mimi, and the Miss Memory Boost that he can follow up for next turn is pretty good setup. And you know, the most ideal play and thought is to, you know, contemplate whether you should play Mimi first and then go into Miss Memory Boost, and you can reduce Miss Memory Boost cost by even further. But with 3 memory to work with, you might be able to choke again by playing it in the reverse order, which is playing the Miss Memory Boost first and then playing the Mimi after to give as little memory as possible. You know, Sam right now is in the driver's seat. He's gathering a lot of momentum, which is fantastic right here. So he does proceed for that. Playing Miss Memory Boost for technically 2 costs with the Mimi combination right here, passing himself back to 1 and then passing back to me to 1 memory by playing the Mimi. So that's really great. And really on the other side, you know, just trying to chip away, trying to do some damage and trying to mill some cards and see what we can get into the trash with Impmon and Demi-Meramons in total, and just passing with a scatter mode afterwards here. Being able to play the Miss Memory Boost combo once again, only effectively for 1 cost essentially, because there's 2 Mimis, and that's just really good value right there. And this is just really nice. And right here, Sam just proceeds to sort of pass turn back to me afterwards by Digivolving into the blue Meramon, in raising particularly, which I find a little bit strange in the beginning because, you know, it might make more sense that you want to Digivolve in the battle area so you can utilize its when Digivolving effect. And then when you use this when Digivolving effect, you can draw and trash more cards, which is what you really want to be setting up. But he has identified that this matchup is a little bit difficult because there's quite a bit of like bombs and, you know, removal cards that I could be playing to sort of like get rid of these cards. So he's technically done the right thing here, choking me back at 1 and going to the blue Meramon, setting up the stack and just slowly see what he can do from there is more of so of the approach. Because for the Anubismon deck is that once you lose your stack, it can be kind of detrimental to the deck where you can't really find another opportunity to build it again. So that's not really one you know, sort of want to go for. But like you guys can see, I, you know, Death Slingered one of his Ignitesmons right there out there. And now he found the Anubismon, luckily drawing into it, and he can actually start going for the combos and, you know, going for the Anubis sort of rush. Now, the only thing he hasn't set up yet is the amount of Gizmons in the trash, because he's going to need to set those up for himself in order to make those like barrage of attacks with the combination of the rush of Anubismon's effect. And with that being said, no, he does go into it anyways, brings back in a Nightmon here, and proceeds to probably gain 2 memory, 1 each from Blue Meramon and 1 from Ignitesmon, to basically become back at 3 and 2 memory, and which is really good, because then right here he gets to choose and maneuver a little bit with some interesting plays. He has 2 memory boosts to work with as well, which he doesn't necessarily need to use at the moment. And again, you guys can see there's a lot of momentum, which is pretty good for the Anubismon deck right here at the moment. So contemplating on what he wants to try to do, I think he's trying to review in terms of like different options right here. Swing with Ignitesmon was definitely sort of like the better choice, but there is a risk factor into it, because if you swing into like a security bomb and potentially I could remove the Anubismon, and with Anubismon removed, then it becomes a huge issue because then he has to try to find another way to build it. And it's going to be kind of tough. But it only makes sense to go for the damage. You do want to pressure for game as much as you can because you got to attack and whatever happens, happens. So right here, he pops the memory boost to go into Underworld's Call, which is really neat because he plays it back a Gizmon AT right here. Now with Gizmon AT, it does gain the on-play effects of drawing 2 and trashing 2, and this is a great opportunity to set up more Gizmons in the trash and set it up for sort of the loop if it ever becomes deleted. So I'm pretty sure he's like contemplating right here, deciding, and yeah, definitely putting some Gizmons there. Not only that, because he trashed a card from his hand, he gets to gain a memory with Kinkakumon and get to draw a card with Sunamons as well. And not to mention, the Gizmon AT right here does have Rush because it was played via effect back from the trash. So Anubismon gives it the opportunity for it to attack and continue to pressure. Looking good for me on the other hand, you know, being able to see Akari here. And he proceeds to actually go into a Gizmon XT by popping his own AT. And then by being able to do so, he can use the Gizmon's AT to shuffle back and play another XT from the trash. And right now it's looking even better for him because he set up 2 pretty strong, decent bodies on the board, both 9k blockers here for defensive and for also like being really wide and chipping away at the same time is, you know, advancing the game state very nicely for him. Now keep in mind, only one of the XTs can attack because only one of them gains Rush being played from the trash. The other one is played via its own effect. So he does proceed to attack with it and tries to, like, you know, apply as much early game pressure as possible just before I start recovering and start making, you know, the longer the game goes, the better it is for any sort of like control based decks, especially when it comes to Lucemon control. Right here, he's contemplating on what sort of like bigger plays he can really have. Yeah, there's not a whole lot. There's a Gizmon XT, there's 2 Nidhogg's, and I believe there's like 2 blue Meramons in his hand. So his really ideal play is either to pass me back to 3 or set up a slightly wider board, but giving me a little bit more extra memory by hard playing that GreyKnightsmon instead. So I think pressuring is definitely the right thing to do. But if he doesn't play this GreyKnightsmon, he can save it for next turn to Digivolve and cycle through more cards. So that's sort of the decision making that he's trying to make here at the moment. I think either play works. You know, giving me a lot of memory is not a huge issue anyways. You know, pressuring right now is definitely more crucial. So I think right here, I'm just thinking whether to swing or not and decide to swing the security with scattered mode. Now at this moment, it's really trying to think about whether if Sam should block or not. I wouldn't really need to block just because there's a lot of bodies on the board to sort of like go for a game later. Maybe blocking might make sense as well, just to stop me from chipping away. But it seems like Sam just lets it go through anyways. I would probably have blocked it here either way and just risked it. Just because like he's probably thinking about like, oh, he knows that I'm bricking. You know, the worst thing is giving me more draw power afterwards. And, you know, hoping that he swings into security and having Eismon Scatter Mode survive, then it's going to be even more doomed for the Lucemon control player. So it can go either way, really. I think at this moment, you know, even I'm still contemplating and trying to find out what kind of plays I can sort of figure out here, just because I don't think I have the greatest start. But I do have to trash away these 2 option cards for Eismon Scatter Mode's effect anyways. And yeah, you guys can probably see my hand is kind of bricked up there. And so it's looking good for Sam anyways. But there are still some plays that I can think of. I'm definitely taking a little bit too much time thinking here because it's pretty big. I do proceed to play the Flame Hell Scythe here, and then with bringing back like Magna Angemon, recovering 1, and then comboing with Kari right here, it can like basically gain the memory back, which is really good. But anyways, with the Mimi right there, Sam was able to, you know, suspend them to gain more memory. Speaking of which he could technically actually have used the Mimis in the prior turn to help him retain his turn even further and go for like more plays when he played Underworld's Call, but that's totally okay. Because this turned out quite pretty good for him anyways here, and he can still continue to pressure, and I think it only makes sense to continue to attack while you can. I'm not entirely sure if there is a Proto Gizmon in the trash at the moment for him, but probably there is. Yeah, there is. It looks like he's trying to look for... Oh no, there isn't, unfortunately. But if there was one, it would be really nice because then he can play the Proto Gizmon and then just continue. I think he's just contemplating again, trying to be safe. Not wanting to overextend too much, so he just proceeds to play the Eismon Scatter Mode first. But honestly, again, in my approach, I would have just attacked anyways. Just because, like, yeah, there could be security bombs and stuff like that, but you do want to get rid of them again before the Lucemon continues to like control further. Here, I think there's a couple of other plays that the Lucemon is trying to look into at the moment, potentially. And I believe, like, recalling back from the match, I was trying to think of like, oh, what should I do? But, you know, really just sitting there and just trying to recover and choke and really hope the security sort of stalls the game a little bit, so then it prolongs to the point where I can go for a counter attack. But anyways, back to Anubismon Sam right here. Swings in with scatter mode, has jamming because it ran into Psychmon, so it does survive. And right now, again, he's just contemplating how he wants to play it. Does he want to play like the Proto Giz? Does he want to go for the XT, which he does, which is really good because by deleting his own scatter mode, he can draw cards and then trash cards at this moment, which is going to be super beneficial for him. And then I think he's just trying to look for just double checking his effects right there, just for trashing as well. So by trashing cards from his hand here, he can gain quite a bit of memory and retain his turn. So with Nidhoggmon, he gains 1 memory, and with the Inheritable of Ginkakumon, he gains another memory. The XT that just brought out can't attack, but he does swing into a Dead or Alive, which is kind of risky, and you gotta respect the potential bombs that you can all run into, especially when it comes to playing against this deck. I do play another Lucemon out and then basically recover with it. And now with like 0 memory, he can easily just choke me at 1. I'm kind of surprised that he didn't choose to pitch away the regular Gizmon that he had there. So then he could potentially like brought it out. But I think either way he does it here because he gets to draw 1 and trash 1. And obviously, you know, doing that same way right here, he gets to bring out the Gizmon. But I think he also wanted to set up some Gizmons in the trash for cyclability when it came to the XT, if the XT was going to be deleted later on. But, you know, really, really good wide board setup right here. I do have lethal, but there is a blocker XT on the board. And if the XT leaves the field or gets deleted, he can play more Proto Gizmons back here. And it's going to, you know, help him cycle, and he can potentially combo off right there too. So I'm trying to pressure for game as a Lucemon control player. But then I try to also swing over some of his Digimon and also, you know, knowing the fact that I can't go for game just yet, and try to set up as much advantage as I could have, or sort of like answer the board that the Anubismon has at the moment. Yeah, right here we're just kind of just calculating based on, I think, memory. I'm not entirely sure. I can't really remember what we're talking about right here, but we're just trying to see, or just kind of see how many swings I could make and see if I can actually go for game, and how much memory as well. I think here I'm contemplating on 2 main plays. As I'm counting my trash and also counting Sam's trash, at this moment, if I recall correctly, there should be 29 cards right in the trash right here, and I needed 30 because if I get 30, I can actually play a Gallantmon from my hand. Tries to attempt to swing with Magna, hoping for it to be deleted, but I don't think, you know, it goes through. Runs into Underworld's Call. Now another free body comes out now because of that. Makes it even more difficult, and I think it's pretty much sealing the deal here for this particular game. But then do proceed to Digivolve into a Lucemon Chaos mode, which is something that you guys don't really see as often. Being able to pop the Anubismon to stop all those inheritables and stop all those kind of effects right there, and just sit there with a level 5, but giving Sam a lot of memory right here. And there's kind of few things that Sam can do in this current stage. You know, like attacking just makes more sense. Just to continue attack and draw more cards, you know, it's pretty much beyond lethal. There shouldn't be anything else that he needs to do to that should like destroy his board or anything like that to stop him from proceeding to the game. But he was thinking about fancying out a little bit, wanting to showcase the Anubismon and just try to swing in as much as he can as well, because he has a lot of memory to work with. He can easily Digivolve into Blue Meramon, go into Anubismon, and then do a bunch of like combos here, or just proceed to swing. So he does proceed to swing. At this moment, like I mentioned earlier, well, I kind of knew what happened, right? So I do proceed to play a Blast Digivolve into a Metal Gurumon Ace on top of my Lucemon to basically counter it, and by trashing up to 3 cards in the hand, gaining 3 memory. So you guys can see how dangerous it could have been if Sam didn't went for that Digivolving combo at that moment. If he swung with 0 memory or 1 or 2 memory, I could have easily just passed a turn, and then that would have been all over for him, and he would have nothing left to sort of like play anymore, and he would have lost the game there. So, you know, don't get greedy. And that's the other thing, running in security another Dead or Alive, which is completely cracked. Lucemon, recover another one, which is really cool right here. Trying my best to sort of stay in the game, but Sam just continues to swing and finishes it off. And he has a contingency plan anyways. He has like a demonic disaster, and he still hasn't used his Mimis yet, so using those one-cost options could have been really, really great there. But yeah, he takes the game right there. Okay, so moving into our other game, we're gonna be featuring a little bit of diverse, like different matchups. So we're actually gonna be playing a different one against GreyKnightsmon, which is, again, I'm the one who's playing it against Sam, and as Sam is playing the Anubis Rush deck. We're just gonna get started right here. So you guys can probably see the starting hand was just not great at all. There's no opening plays whatsoever. So I think the mulligan is definitely the only thing to go for. It has to be. There's no, without a doubt, that had to be mulligan for a new hand. So Sam is starting first right here with the Anubismon. This time a little bit better. But you can see immediately the best ideal play is to go for the scattered mode here. And then just pass that for it. You know, being able to just sort of establish something as early as possible, swing, draw cards, trash cards. That's what, you know, should be going for. There's no other cards that can be played anyways. Immediately, GreyKnightsmon comes out already with a Metal Greymon and Dark Knightmon underneath it, stunning the level 4s or lower. There's quite a lot of effects that happen right here, which is really strong. It can redirect, it can stun again when it's attacking as well. And at this moment then, you know, it only makes sense just to Digivolve into the Blue Mirrormon, draw more cards, cycle through, and toss away the Gizmons is really what I would probably go for here. There are some options. You might want to keep some of the Gizmon XTs, delete something, and then hard play it for lesser costs. But I think the most ideal thing is what I would do is to toss away one of the XTs alongside with something else. Definitely not the Gizmon, just because there's no scatter mode and trash. Sometimes I do want to mention right here, Sam seems to be contemplating whether to toss away 2 XTs, which is totally fine because that adds up more, you know, Gizmons into the trash for later combos. Keeping the Anubismon on the hand is not necessarily either, just because you do draw a lot of cards. Potentially there's ways to get into it. You do play 4 copies of the Anubismon in this particular build, therefore you might see it later on. Tossing it away in the early stages of the game, sometimes I just want to say, is not too bad of a choice too. But yeah, let's see what Sam here decides to do. I think going through the 2 XTs, which are totally fine, because then the other thing is then he can Digivolve now right here. He can't play anything, but he gets to at least cycle 1 card, and finding the Ignitemon rookie in the hand right there is good. GreyKnightsmon tries to, you know, sort of chip away with Gizmon and all that kind of stuff. The typical stuff, like some of the blue flare things that can really nicely happen. GreyKnightsmon swings in as well, stunning the Anubismon because it has 3 or fewer sources. It has a redirect going on as well right now, and back to Sam at 1 memory here. And still pretty good versatile plays that, you know, he can juggle around. Hard playing the Proto Gizmon right here for 3 cost because he can't delete the Sunomon because it Digivolves into Ignitemon. So it's sometimes important to keep in mind juggling between having a rookie and raising versus having the egg. When you have the Proto Gizmon, you gotta like play around these things just in advance, just so you know, as an important note, which I actually mentioned in the deck profile as well when I was teaching you guys about it. But anyways, draw 1, trash 1 right here. Right now, contemplating on what to trash, trashing away the AT, which I find a little bit interesting because the next turn, Sam could come in with popping one of the Proto Gizes or even the Ignitemon to hard play the AT and then draw even more cards and trash more cards that way instead. But it seems like he looks like he wants to keep the scattered mode in his hand so he can go for an Gizmon play, maybe somehow that way as well. I'm not entirely sure what his thought process was exactly here, but there were 2 avenues of play. You know, there wasn't really a straightforward line of play, so I would have gone for the other, basically keeping the AT in the hand. Passing back to, you know, GreyKnightsmon right here, gaining the memory because of Kirihanene as well, because there's more than 2 bodies. GreyKnightsmon is just going to continue to attack, and it's just going to continue to stun the Anubis into oblivion. So things don't look too great for Anubismon right here at the moment, just because, but it did get into a Underworld's Call, so then we can go into a Ginkakumon right there. Continues to chip away. There's nothing really needs to wait right here. The situation looks pretty bad for Anubismon at this moment, just because the whole board state, there's tons of Digimon on the opponent's side of the board. There's 5 potential swings next turn. There's no way, there's no defense in this deck to sort of stop that. You know, clearing the board might be difficult as well, just because GreyKnightsmon can always bring back the Metal Greymon and the Dark Knightmon as well. And there's still 5 security to go through right here. But this is one of the really cool things of Anubismon, which I'm about to show you guys. And I think Sam can actually pull it off right here. So first and foremost, he's going to go swinging with the Proto Gizmon. There's no blockers. There's only 1 redirect. So he really needs to carefully think about this and sequence it correctly. At this moment, I think both him and I would agree in this thought process is you just got to go all in at this point and see how far you can push yourself at this moment, because you can't really, again, clear the board as well. It's going to have a lot of floating capabilities, and the next turn you're just going to be dead anyways because of the sheer amount of swings that's going to be happening right here. Anyways, Proto Gizmon does get deleted, so he can shuffle 2 things back, and then he can get to play the AT right here, which, you know, in hindsight now, that may have been the right, more correct play, just because now AT is now, you know, live, accessible, and now he can continue to cycle through. Without that AT in the trash, that would have been way more difficult to sort of complete and do so. Drawing cards as well, and then continue to swing once again, nothing too much to worry about, and just attack straight into security. I think at this moment, GreyKnightsmon is just trying to decide whether wanting to redirect or not here, but you know, it seems like he's laying it through anyways, which is me anyways. So yeah, AT does get deleted. Really good now. Shuffling it back, bringing out XT. XT can now also swing with the rush, because Anubismon, even though it's stunned, its effects are still alive, letting you continue to gain the rush, which is really good right here. So contemplating, I think he's trying to see if there's a way for him to delete his own XT, so that potentially he can play the Proto Giz back from trash. And right now it's just actually, you know, all of a sudden the board state looks so much better, because now Sam can, it actually looks like the Anubismon can actually push for game and actually go for it, which is really crazy and really cool about this deck. And I just, you know, super excited to show you guys, like, you know, what sort of came out from this. So he does play Calling from Darkness, grabbing up to 2 things back. Now, really important right here, because there's not a lot of choices. Calling from Darkness, it makes most sense that you have to keep the XT and the Proto Giz in the trash, because you're going to be playing it back via XT's effect. So you don't want to grab it back, because otherwise you don't get the undulation effects. Now, the other subjective card is like, should you be grabbing Scattered Mode? Now, my argument is do not grab Scattered Mode at this moment. You can actually grab up to 2, so you don't have to grab necessarily 2 for Calling from Darkness. You can just grab 1 card and just call it. That's it. And not grab it. The reason why you don't want to grab a Scattered Mode is because I did see that he has this Eismon on his hand, and you actually want to potentially trash the Eismon so the Eismon can actually come out and get played for free and gain rush. And by doing so, he'll have more than enough swings to go for game right here. So unfortunately, I think Sam misplayed a little bit here. He really should have left the Scatter Mode in the trash, just because of that reason. Because now he realizes, oh right, GreyKnightsmon still has 1 redirect. So, and there's 2 security left, and you actually need like 4 swings. So now he's trying to see what, you know, how he can make it work with 4 swings. But he proceeds to, you know, draw 1 and trash 1 anyways. And now, yeah, that's when he realized, oh, he shouldn't have gone the Scattered Mode, because then the Eismon could have been on board, which was a little bit of an int right here, but that's totally okay, because I do see another option for him to sort of like play around this. But it does make it a little bit more riskier now, because now he's gonna probably want to swing in with Proto Giz. What we really want to try and do is to make sure this Proto Gizmon gets deleted, or the Ignitemon. Something that is level 3 that needs to be deleted, because there is Knight's Raid. I believe that's what the option card is called, the 2-cost one that he has right there in his hand. But anyways, yeah, you just gotta swing and go for it at this moment. I think he's trying to think and redirect, and which is good. I did redirect it, and because I didn't even know what was gonna be coming, so everything's clear for him. If there's no like surprise bombs or whatever, I think it should be good right here. Swing with Ignitemon, swing with Ginkakumon right there, and play Night Raid right here. Bring back the Proto Giz, go for the game and swing. And as you guys can see, that combo is just super crazy.
Now, if you guys want to see the full build, be sure to check out the deck profile by clicking it right here. And this is where I cover all the key cards, combos, optimizations, and other suggestions, including all the information you would need to know in order to play this deck for yourself. Now, whether you guys are new to the Digimon card game or new to the AVAULT channel, definitely be sure to check out all the other videos right here, because we got tons of Digimon content and really cool, exciting things for you guys to check out. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. You guys have a great day, great night, wherever you are. See you next video. It is AVAULT, signing out.